CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
A University of Victoria student is accusing her former landlord, a BC government employee, of installing a hidden camera in her rental suite to record her in her most private moments. In a civil suit that was filed in Vancouver, Devon Harrington claims that she was recorded on camera numerous times after moving into a suite owned by Robin Mitchell and his wife Judy in August 2008. She claims the landlord used a hidden camera to record images of her undressing, showering, doing hygiene and using the toilet while she was renting his basement suite. The suit says the recordings were later edited for Mitchell's sexual gratification and to be sold on the internet. Harrington moved out of the suite last March after she found the device. Harrington is seeking damages, including more than $15,000 in rent. She also wants all existing copies of the video. Robin Mitchell is identified in the claim as a senior application architect for the province. The suit also names his wife Judy, claiming that she should have known or did know. There's been no response to the civil claim. None of the allegations contained in the civil suit has been proven in court. Well, the final tally is in on the cost of Victoria taxpayers to police and to clean up the Occupy Victoria protest. The city says the taxpayers are on the hook for $235,000. Mayor Dean Fortin says more than $100,000 of that went to policing. The remainder went to cleaning up Centennial Square and repairing the damage done to public restrooms. The Occupy protest in Vancouver cost taxpayers in that city about $500,000 in the first week alone, most of it for policing. City officials there have not given a complete cost breakdown for their protest. Well, as we saw in Joe's report, there is one holiday tradition that, despite the challenges this year, is going strong. It's the CPAC Santa's Anonymous Miracle on Broad, underway in our CTV studios tonight. That's where we find our Astrid Brownschmidt with the first look at your weekend forecast. Astrid.
Well, this has definitely been a miracle day here on Broad Street. One of the guys you have heard all day on CPAC's Al Farabee. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, it's been such a great day today.
This has been an amazing day. Quickly, tell me how the donations have been coming in. What's your total so far with less than an hour to go?
We're like, it's like a record amount this year, so thank you, Victoria, and beyond, really, $180,000 plus. We've never been that high before, so we made a call out that we needed the money desperately, and people have responded, and really that's the way Victorians do things. It's so good.
It is so good. Al, you have been here all day. We are going to check in with you a little bit later.
Well, somebody who's not putting it off is Old St. Nick. 1 week from tomorrow, Santa will pack his sleigh, and today he and new Rudolph rolled into town on the bus.
Goodbye. Merry Christmas.
There he is. Santa Claus hopped aboard the BC Transit bus this morning, surprising fellow riders. Not too many on this one. Everybody on the bus taken by surprise, greeted by Santa's little helpers and given some candy canes. Children who hitched a ride on the Santa bus had a chance to pass the time telling them what they need and want for Christmas.
Are you excited to see Santa today? Santa came down from the North Pole to ride the bus. He left the elves in charge. What do you think the elves are doing right now?
Making toys. Candy cane.
You got a candy cane. Cheers me up though. Are you going to tell Santa what you'd like for Christmas?
I already did that.
What did you tell him?
I wanted Tweez and Revenge the Lego ship.
If you missed him today, don't worry. Over the holidays, the Santa bus and BC Transit will be on the streets offering late-night service as well to help people get home from their parties safely. For more information, log on to victoriaregionaltransit.com. Well, an early morning collision on the Pat Bay Highway caused some major traffic delays today after a fiery van between a minivan and an SUV. A couple of crumpled messes was all that remained after the two vehicles came together just after 9 in North Saanich. RCMP say an SUV was southbound trying to turn left on McDonald Park Road when it was hit broadside by a van. 2 passengers were in each vehicle. Airbags deployed in both. One vehicle burst into flames.
Yes, one of the vehicles did burst into flames. Luckily, thank God, there was a bystander that came to the aid of the driver and passenger, was able to extinguish the fire before the fire department arrived. Diverted the traffic onto McDonald Park Road off the highway. McDonald Park Road reattaches with the highway just a little bit further north, so a little bit of a diversion through a school zone, but otherwise good.
All 4 people were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Police say if any charges are laid under the Motor Vehicle Act, they will most likely be failing to yield at a left-hand turn. The investigation into the crash is continuing. More local news still ahead on this Friday edition of CTV News at 5. Let's get a look at your weekend weather forecast. Astrid inside tonight in our studios at the Miracle on Broad as it continues for CPAC Santa's Anonymous. Astrid.
Absolutely, Hudson. There have been some great performances. We just heard Louise Rose and her choir singing the songs of the season. And Mel Cooper is here. You have been involved with this for a long time. And I mean that with all due respect.
I don't mind that. 34 years.
34 years. This has been a record-breaking year
really
as far as the donations go. Tell us where this great money goes.
Well, first of all, I tell you that the 34 years of CPAC Santa's Anonymous, we've only been doing the Miracle on Broad Street for about 10 or 11 years. 11 years. But the money all goes for those food hampers that have been delivered to homes of kids and families who need them. And they need them at Christmas, they don't have them, and they should. And so that's where it's all going. So we want to meet every need, every need that we hear about.
And we are certainly well on the way with more than $200,000 raised today. That is a great accomplishment. A huge thank you to the community, and thank you to you for doing this every year.
Well, thank you.
It's always lovely to see you here.
Thank you to the community. That's what I always say. You know, they're there for us, and they're there for the other families, and that's what it's all about.
That is. Thank you so much for joining us, Mel. Lovely to see you as always.
A lineup of great talent and a lineup of very generous people who have come to help Santa's Anonymous. Let's check in right now. They are about to reveal the total. Astrid Brunswick standing by. Astrid.
Absolutely. You can hear the applause because the total has just been revealed. Al Farabee did this live on CPAC literally right now. $236,507 $236,507.24. So $236,507.24. Thank you to everybody who made a pledge, big or small, to CPAC Santa's Anonymous this year. Your pledge is going to help many people in our community who really need their Christmas a little brighter this year. A lot of great families who are going to benefit from this money. So thank you. There's been a great panel here who's been manning the phones. Al has been singing. My goodness, we've had great performers all day. It has been so much fun. Al, hello. Yes. You've been going since early this morning.
We really have since, well, only about 5 o'clock in the morning. We've been going on and on and on, but it's been so good.
And to wrap it all up, you just sang a beautiful song, Silent Night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's, well, my pleasure.
It's been a great day. How does this make you feel to wrap up this day with a record number?
It's really amazing. The fact that Victorians can give so much and give back to our community and really help Victoria children and families in need no matter what the need. We say that all along and we mean it. So when people come back and give us that much money and that much support, thank you. That's all we can say.
That's all we can say, Hudson. There you go. A wonderful way to really get this Christmas spirit going here with our friends at CPAC.
You betcha, Astrid. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A coroner's jury has returned with its recommendations following an inquest into the suicide death of a 16-year-old Campbell River girl. The jury just came back a short time ago. CTV's Joe Perkins has been following the story. He joins us now live with more. Joe.
In the past week, 29 witnesses have helped piece together the story of Hayden Cazzola, from being sexually abused as a young child all the way up to the night she took her life. Today, the jury made its recommendations. Now, the jury had 23 recommendations. We've highlighted a few of those for you. The jury wants the Ministry of Education to provide a provincial standard of risk assessment. A lack of a formal assessment currently was highlighted throughout the entire inquiry. For the Ministry of Health, the jury suggested having a standardized suicide risk assessment for all patients arriving in the emergency room showing suicidal behavior. They also recommended having a BC-wide electronic charting system, something that isn't in place now, and that files of patients with a history of suicidal behavior be flagged. Now, the jury also recommended that VIHA have a crisis nurse available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in all hospitals. The Ledger House received 6 recommendations. Those include eliminating confidentiality for patients if there is a risk to the client, and that staff at Ledger House undergo training to familiarize themselves with the grounds at Queen Alexandra Hospital. Lastly, for the BC Association of Chiefs of Police, that all chiefs of police review the report completed by the Saanich PD into Hayden's death. Here's reaction from the inquest.
I'm satisfied. We just have to implement them now. That's the big thing.
What are one or two that should be? They're all going to be implemented, but one or two.
Two beds up on the north. Two beds up on the North Island is huge. Comox, wherever. anywhere up there.
24-hour crisis nurse on call, that's huge.
That would have been a big difference.
That was Barbara and Phil Kozoletsky, the parents of Hayden. Now, those recommendations come after Hayden Cazzola went missing from Ledger House on December 19th of last year. At the time, all we knew was that Hayden walked away from the psychiatric facility for children. She then committed suicide nearby. Since Monday, testimony revealed Hayden faced many challenges. She was suicidal most of her life, and even though hospitals knew she had a plan to kill herself, the health system wasn't able to stop her. Since then, reviews have led to protocol changes for VIHA and Saanich Police, and now this coroner's inquest. And Hudson will have, well, more reaction from the parents, including, well, you heard the parents, but we'll have more of that coming up at 11.
All right, Joe Perkins reporting. Joe, thank you. Well, the city of Colwood is reducing its carbon footprint, rolling out a green approach on city streets. The municipality isn't worried about gas prices. It's purchased electric vehicles for staff as part of a province-wide clean energy initiative. The plan is to install numerous charging stations around Colwood and to provide incentives to people who are willing to purchase the eco-friendly vehicles. The province is willing to cut anyone a deal who puts a charging station in their home.
For a homeowner under the provincial program, they get $500 towards the cost of electric vehicle charging. We haven't exactly determined what the value of the Solar Colwood contribution will be, but it will probably be in the same kind of order, sort of up to a certain percentage of the total cost. And we're also looking at, you know, where are the other places that it would make sense to have charging infrastructure. You'll have noticed in the parking lot today, we also have a number of extension cords going out of windows and into the cars.
City staff say their one electric truck that they've had for a few years already saved them about $3,500 per year. The deputy chair of a committee considering cosmetic pesticide bans in BC says the golf industry's use of pesticides would likely remain at par under any new legislation. Last night on Vancouver Island Report, we showed you why Vancouver Island golf courses are so concerned about the potential ban. They fear it will result in damaged greens and rough course conditions and will drive golfers away. But NDP MLA Rob Fleming says 6 provinces across the country have cosmetic pesticide bans in place, and all of them make allowances for the golf industry.
I think the important thing to understand is that there are 6 provinces in Canada now, representing over 20 million Canadians, that do ban cosmetic pesticide use and their retail sale. But in none of those jurisdictions, none of those provinces, is the golf industry specifically regulated or included in that ban.
Golf courses aren't alone. There are a number of industries that depend on pesticide use to get their job done. The committee says it'll consider the environment and the economy when it makes its recommendations. Well, Operation Red Nose is going into overdrive. The Safe Ride Home Service says this is turning into a banner year with more and more people choosing not to drink and drive. The Nanaimo-based service has been overwhelmed with calls from people who need a ride home after a night in the town. Volunteers will drive you and your car home for free. Donations are accepted and are turned over to Pacific Sport. The service has been so busy this year that the volunteers can't keep up. They need more help over the next few weeks, and especially on New Year's Eve.
It's our busiest night in terms of calls. Everybody seems to be out on that night, and it's also a little more challenging to get volunteers for that night because a lot of people do have plans. So we need double the number of volunteers on New Year's Eve than we do on regular evenings, so we're still really looking for people for that night.
If you'd like to be the Red Nose designated driver on New Year's Eve or any other night this holiday season, they'd sure like to hear from you. Contact Operation Red Nose at 250-755-6969. And BC Transit's getting into the Christmas spirit, putting its Santa bus on the road in Nanaimo. St. Nick hits the road in his sleigh a week from tomorrow night, but he was on the bus today, and this bus will be on the road all day tomorrow, too, collecting non-perishable food items and cash for the Salvation Army. Not just in Nanaimo, but in Parksville as well.
Our operator is going to be actually Santa Claus, so that's going to be the driver of the bus, as well as we actually have Mrs. Claus on board too. So when the kids get on board, they are going to see Santa and Mrs. Claus, and they're in very good spirit. There's going to be music on the bus, and it's just by donation. So if people don't have the fare with them, then that's okay. They can still get on board and just get in the Christmas spirit. But again, all items that we do receive in donation, whether it's cash or non-perishable food, will be donated to the greater good.
And BC Transit is modifying its schedule slightly over the holiday season with reduced service most days from Christmas to New Year's. There'll be no service in the regional district of Nanaimo on Christmas Day. New Year's Eve, transit will be free from 8:30 until 2:30 in the morning.